Let me tell you a strange truth about the most emotionally mature people you know. They're the ones quietly carrying the heaviest pain. Not because they want to, not because they're strong enough to handle everything, but because they've learned, often through deep wounds, that no one else will hold their world together if they don't. Emotionally mature people don't become that way by accident. They become that way because life forced them to grow up early. They became the understanding one, the patient one, the stable one, because chaos was always around them. They learned to stay calm while others fell apart. They learned to listen while others yelled. They learned to shrink themselves so others could feel bigger. They learned to take responsibility for emotions that weren't theirs. And over time, they began to believe that their worth comes from how well they can carry everyone else. The hidden pain you never notice. Emotionally mature people rarely explode, rarely complain, rarely show anger. Not because they don't feel those things, but because they've learned to process pain internally. Yes, they hurt deeply. They overthink. They cry silently. They heal alone. But to the world, they look fine. Emotionally mature people are experts at hiding their storms. And that's the tragedy. Their calmness makes people forget they bleed too. Where their maturity comes from. You don't become emotionally mature by having an easy past. You become emotionally mature by surviving situations where no one apologized to you. You had to forgive people who never admitted they were wrong. You had to stay calm in environments that were never calm. You had to comfort people who should have been comforting you. You became the adult long before childhood was over. Emotionally mature people grew up learning to manage other people's emotions, so they never learned how to express their own. They became the strong one, but deep inside, they are exhausted from being strong for too long. The silent battle of the mature person. Their pain is simple. They give more than they receive. They understand more than they are understood. They forgive more than they are forgiven. They try harder than people try for them. And because they rarely ask for help, people assume they don't need any. But the emotionally mature person, oh, they need help more than anyone. They just don't know how to ask. They don't want to be a burden. They don't want to inconvenience anyone. They don't want to break the strong one identity the world placed on their shoulders. The hidden fear they never admit. Emotionally mature people have one deep, secret fear. If I ever stop being strong, everyone will leave me. This fear controls their relationships. It silences their needs. It makes them shrink. It makes them overgive. It makes them settle for less. Because emotional maturity, when forced, becomes emotional self-destruction. The illusion of being fine. You've probably met someone like this. They comfort everyone. They help everyone. They're always listening, always patient, always available. But when they're alone, they break quietly. They lie awake at night, replaying everything they didn't say. They drown in responsibilities no one sees. They feel lonely even around people. They cry in silence because silence has always been safer. Emotionally mature people don't fall apart in public. They fall apart in private. The truth they don't tell anyone. The emotionally mature person doesn't want to be admired. They want to be understood. They don't need praise. They need softness. They don't need someone who thinks they're strong. They need someone who says, "You don't have to be strong with me." But they rarely meet such people. So they continue being the healer, the fixer, the stable one, even when their own soul is quietly collapsing. Emotionally mature people aren't born that way. Their maturity is shaped by their childhood, the kind of childhood where they became the emotional parent long before they ever experienced real parenting. Maybe their home was unpredictable. Maybe they were surrounded by people who were emotionally unstable. Maybe their family needed someone to be the reasonable one. So they stepped into that role, even when they were too young to understand what they were doing. They learned to keep the peace when the adults were fighting. They learned to swallow their emotions because no one knew how to handle them. They learned to be quiet because being loud only made things worse. They learned to understand everyone else because no one took the time to understand them. And when you grow up like that, something inside you changes forever. You become emotionally mature, but emotionally neglected at the same time. 2. Why they attract emotionally immature people. Emotionally mature people often attract the wrong partners, not because they choose poorly, but because emotional maturity shines like a lighthouse to people who have no stability of their own. Emotionally immature people see the mature one and think, "Good, they'll understand me, they'll forgive me, they won't leave." And they're right. The emotionally mature person always gives one more chance. They rationalize the bad behavior. They carry the blame. They try to fix and repair and heal, even when the relationship is breaking them. Why? Because emotional maturity becomes a trap when you're the only mature person in the relationship. You give love as if it's a duty. You treat responsibility like a moral obligation. You understand someone even when they don't deserve it. And the emotionally immature person learns that the mature one will never walk away. So they stop trying. They stop growing. They stop taking accountability. They lean on the mature person so hard that eventually the mature one collapses. 3. Their silent internal monologue. An emotionally mature person thinks things like, "I shouldn't bother anyone. They're probably going through worse. It's okay, I can handle it. They didn't really mean to hurt me. Let me stay calm so the situation doesn't escalate. If I express how I feel, it might ruin everything. I don't want to be a burden." These sentences look peaceful, but they're not peaceful. They are self-erasing. This is the hidden sadness. Emotionally mature people understand everyone except themselves. They forgive everyone except themselves. They protect everyone except themselves. 4. The breaking point you never see coming. Everyone has a breaking point, even the emotionally mature person. But their breaking point doesn't look like yelling. It doesn't look like anger. It doesn't look like revenge. It looks like disappearing. One day, they will simply get tired. Tired of fixing everything. Tired of absorbing everyone's emotions. Tired of pretending they're fine. Tired of giving love that is never returned. Tired of carrying people who don't carry them back. And the most heartbreaking part? When the emotionally mature person finally pulls away, people say, "But you never said anything. But you always handled it. But you seemed fine." Of course they seemed fine. Emotionally mature people look fine because looking not fine was never allowed in their childhood. They never learned how to say, "I'm drowning. I'm exhausted. I need you too. I can't carry this anymore. So instead, they carry a lifetime of pain inside their quiet chest until the weight becomes too heavy. 5. The dark psychology of over-maturity. Here's the truth psychologists rarely say out loud. Emotional maturity can become emotional self-neglect. It becomes a mask, a performance, a survival strategy. Emotionally mature people learn to minimize their needs, hide their pain, stay strong for everyone, suppress anger, forgive too quickly, over-explain and over-understand, put others first, always. And society praises this behavior. They call it strength, kindness, wisdom, patience. But no one realizes the emotionally mature person is slowly burning out. They're not strong because they want to be strong. They're strong because they had no other choice. Emotionally mature people often feel lonely even when they're surrounded by others. Not because they don't have people around them, but because so few people meet them at the depth where they live. Their mind is deeper, their heart is heavier, their thoughts are sharper, their emotions are richer. And when they try to share that depth, people respond with something shallow, surface level, dismissive, or joking. So they learn to keep their emotional world to themselves. They begin to think, no one will understand anyway. I'll just keep this to myself. It's easier if I stay quiet. And slowly, quietly, they disappear into their own mind. 2. The emotional numbness that grows over time. When you're emotionally mature for too long, something else begins to happen. You stop feeling so deeply. Not because you don't care, but because caring too much has hurt you too many times. So you build a kind of emotional callus, a protective numbness, a distance that feels safer than vulnerability. They don't cry as easily as they used to. They don't get excited as quickly as they used to. They don't show anger the way others do. They don't trust joy, because joy has always been temporary. They begin to experience life from the outside, like they're watching themselves live instead of actually living. Numbness becomes their survival strategy. 3. The walls they never admit to building. Emotionally mature people are open-hearted, but closed off at the same time. They love deeply, but they hide the depth of their love. They care intensely, but they never want to seem too much. They want connection, but they fear becoming a burden. So they build walls. Not walls that keep people out, but walls that keep themselves in. Walls that say, I'll listen to you, but I won't let you close. I'll help you, but don't try to help me. I'll love you, but I'll hide how much. They're afraid of letting someone see how fragile they really are beneath their calm exterior. 4. Why they disconnect suddenly. Here's something people don't understand. Emotionally mature people don't disconnect because they don't care. They disconnect because they've been overwhelmed in silence. They have spent years being the support system for everyone else, but no one has ever been the support system for them. And for the first time, something inside them whispers, I deserve more too. This whisper becomes a thought. The thought becomes a feeling. The feeling becomes a boundary. And that's when their life truly begins to change. 2. Their first boundaries are soft but brave. Emotionally mature people don't suddenly become cold or selfish. They don't wake up and cut everyone off. their healing begins slowly. Saying, "I can't talk right now." Saying, "I need time for myself." Not replying immediately. Not fixing everything. Not pretending they're fine. Allowing themselves to be seen as imperfect. These are small steps for others, but giant steps for someone who spent their whole life being the emotional caretaker. 3. They learn a new truth. Maturity doesn't mean self-sacrifice. One of the biggest lies emotionally mature people learned is, if you stop being strong, everything will fall apart. But healing teaches them a new truth. If you break yourself to hold everything together, you eventually lose both. Emotional maturity is not self-sacrifice. It's not suppressing your needs. It's not being endlessly patient. It's not carrying everyone's pain. Real emotional maturity is knowing your limits and honoring them. 4. The first glimpse of real peace. When emotionally mature people begin healing, they feel something they haven't felt in years. Peace. Not the forced peace they maintained for others, but a real, gentle, natural peace. They start sleeping better, breathing deeper, feeling lighter, speaking more honestly, laughing without fear, existing without shrinking. They stop living for emotional survival and start living for emotional fulfillment. 5. The people who truly love them begin to stand out. When the emotionally mature person stops overgiving, something magical happens. It becomes clear who actually cares. You start to see who stays even when you're not strong, who supports you without being asked, who listens to you, who respects your boundaries, who notices when you're quiet, who brings calm instead of chaos. People who were only there for the version of you that carried everything begin to fall away. And it doesn't hurt as much as it used to, because you finally see the truth. You don't need to be everything for people who give you almost nothing. 6. Healing teaches them a different kind of love. When emotionally mature people heal, they don't become closed off. They become selective, intentional, grounded. They start choosing people who listen, reciprocate, apologize, communicate, give softness, bring safety, don't drain their emotional energy. And for the first time, they experience love that doesn't hurt. A love that doesn't depend on their emotional labor. A love that doesn't collapse on them. A love where they don't have to shrink to fit. 7. They choose themselves. The emotionally mature person's greatest act of healing is learning this. I am allowed to choose myself even if it disappoints others. They start saying no, asking for help, leaving toxic relationships, walking away from emotional responsibility, taking up space, speaking honestly, setting limits, expressing needs without shame. This is where their freedom begins. 8. The mature person's new life. When they heal, everything changes. Their relationships improve. Their emotional energy returns. Their childhood wounds begin to soften. Their sense of self becomes stronger. Their loneliness fades. Their inner peace grows. And the world, for the first time ever, feels safe enough to rest in. This is the moment the emotionally mature person realizes they were never too much. They were always giving too much to people who gave too little. If you are an emotionally mature person, you deserve someone who meets you with the same depth you offer. You deserve to be understood, not used. You deserve reciprocity, not responsibility. You deserve softness, not survival. You deserve love that doesn't exhaust you. Your heart is rare. Your patience is rare. Your understanding is rare. Don't waste it on people who can't meet you halfway. If this video felt like I was describing you, that's not an accident. Emotionally mature people find this channel because they've spent years searching for a place their depth is finally understood. So stay, listen, learn, grow. And let's rebuild the parts of you you've been carrying alone for too long. Subscribe to join a community where your emotional depth is finally seen and finally valued.